What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Peanut Gallery Podcast, episode 40. Seth, what's up, man?
Tell you what, man. I've been going in on the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight.
Dude, I've
been watching a bunch of Joe Rogan analysis, a bunch of other analysis on YouTube, watching the knockouts of each one.
So what do you think, then?
My brain says that Mayweather is the more likely to win, but I really, really want Conor to win.
I would like Conor to win, too.
Yeah.
But Conor has, nothing to lose, right? Because he's not expected to win.
Right.
Floyd Mayweather's, 49-0.
Yeah.
And if he loses this, that would be huge. Because
right.
If he wins, he'd be technically, better than Muhammad Ali or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, so Floyd is widely regarded as, the greatest boxer ever.
Yeah.
If not, second best behind Ali or somebody else
Uh-huh.
But I mean, yeah, for sure, because Mayweather's been out for a while. Mm-hmm. He's been retired. McGregor called him out of retirement. McGregor is just a UFC fighter. He's an amazing fighter.
Yeah,
but they're boxing. They're boxing.
Totally different ball.
Dude, it's gonna be so good. I'm stoked.
I'm excited to watch it until we looked up the price.
Dude, it's $100 freaking dollars.
We're like, we'll just watch it here, man. No, $100.
$100 pay-per-view.
We gotta figure out how to watch it.
That's why they're making money, dude.
Yeah, that's
but McGregor, dude, if McGregor loses, he's still making bang.
Oh, he's still making a ton of money.
Dude, he's got a nasty left punch, dude.
Yeah, dude. I love watching fights of him, dude. He just has his right hand out there to kind of test the waters.
Yeah, done,
just
bro.
Right in.
Yeah, it's gonna be freaking good though. And I mean, I wanted to just like they've been talking Mayweather approved 8-ounce gloves, which they thought they were gonna do 10.
10 ounces standard boxing.
McGregor's used to 4-ounce, which is UFC.
Uh-huh.
So it's it's gonna be a little bit heavier gloves, so he'll be a little bit slower. He also can't do
less than boxing.
Less than not certain,
right?
Than what. But he also the weight Mayweather allowed him to stay a little bit heavier than people thought. They thought Mayweather would make McGregor.
So
cut
Mayweather
more.
will be a little bit out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, and that's the thing, dude. He's never fought.
And then obviously fighting a UFC
McGregor.
fighter. Yeah.
Dude, and McGregor's the biggest troll. He's
gosh.
such if you watch any of the press conferences,
it's amazing.
It's incredible. He is the biggest.
I think he totally does it to hype it up. Man.
Oh, he wants to sell tickets. He's smart, but also I really think he just has a comment. He thinks he's gonna win, and that's what you need.
I know he does.
If he thought he was gonna lose, he would lose.
Yeah.
So the fact that he thinks he's dead set on winning, I think there's a good. It's gonna be a good fight.
It'll definitely be interesting. I'm excited to watch it somehow. We have to figure.
I either think McGregor's gonna come out and knock out Mayweather really fast,
or Mayweather
will knock out really fast.
Okay.
Or it'll just be a really long fight and nothing really will happen.
See, what I think will happen is that it'll kind of go almost all 12 rounds and no one will get knocked out. But it'll just kind of be a points thing. Whoever scores the most hits will win.
A lot of people have been saying that McGregor will win the spectacle, but then Mayweather will win the judge's decision.
Yeah, that's what I would
think. It'll look better for McGregor, but then point-wise, and because
Mayweather dodges.
Dude, he doesn't get hit.
Hit on that guy.
He doesn't get hit.
And dodge and swing.
Yeah, but I mean, Rogan was talking about it and just saying that if Conor he's been doing a lot of karate-ish moves, I guess, and switching up his stances with which Mayweather's not used to.
Yeah.
So if McGregor can catch him one time off balance, bro. And if he can land, because McGregor's got a big punch, dude.
Yeah, he does.
He can land.
He outclasses him weight-wise and height-wise, too, right? He's a taller guy. He's got more reach than Mayweather,
he's got insane reach. And he can close distances. But the thing is when you're close to Mayweather is when it's the most lethal.
Yeah, because he's so fast.
He's so comfortable just right next to him.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
It'll be a good fight.
So that's in my week.
Cool. There you go.
I'm so excited, dude.
Now we get to more depressing stories, right?
No, it's fine. Let's keep talking about it. This is now the fight podcast.
There you go. All right, guys. If you didn't already know, this is the Peanut Gallery Podcast. This is the place that we provide our completely unprofessional and insignificant opinions about the most important and significant topics of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me as always is Seth, and we're going to jump right into what was nuts this week. All right, guys, we are back, and we're just going to jump right into it. We got a lot of stories to cover this week, and first thing, we're going to talk about a little bit of ESPN, man.
Or ESPN.
Or ESPN. Yeah, there you go, man. So what's been going on in that world?
Yeah,
recently?
So there was a little bit of controversy.
Just a
little bit because of a reporter for sports.
Wait, but what was he named?
Robert Lee.
Oh, you mean Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general,
that was
right?
the problem.
That's the
right?
first thing I thought of.
It means
instantly.
ESPN is racist.
It does.
Is what it means.
I think that's what you're talking about.
It kind of came out that ESPN had a reporter or what is it called? An
like
announcer.
A game analysis.
Yeah, an announcer.
That
his name was Robert Lee, and he was scheduled to talk about it and to commentate I think it was a basketball game. I'm not totally sure. Don't quote me on that. A couple days after the Charlotte incident.
The game in Virginia, I know.
Right. And so ESPN kind of moved him from that game to another game later on down the week solely because of his name. Yeah. Now, that was what the original speculation was. ESPN then came out and said, quote, "We collectively made the decision with Robert to switch games as the tragic events in Charlottesville were unfolding simply because of the coincidence of his name. In that moment, it felt right to all parties. It is a shame that this is even a topic of conversation, and we regret that who calls play-by-play for a football game has become an issue." So it was football. But, see, so that was the thing. People were calling out saying it's ridiculous that they changed him because it was just because of his name sounded similar to Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general. Mm-hmm. Then they were like, no, that's not where we did it. We did it because, well, it was actually because of his name. That was what was confusing to me, is that they said, like, they were trying to calm down the flames of people being outraged over this by saying, well, no, we didn't do it because he sounded like Robert E. Lee. Mm-hmm. But then in their statement, they said that it was because of the coincidence of his name.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very odd to me, and I want to talk about this because it's like we've gotten to the point now where international news network agencies are now censoring their newscasters because of names that are similar to Confederate general names.
I mean, yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, you can see in this picture right here, he has a striking resemblance to Robert E. Lee. Looks exactly like it.
We're not even going to mention that Lee is one of the most freaking common names
it's
for
like
someone.
Smith. Yeah. It's like Smith for white people.
Right?
I mean, like, it's a very common Asian name.
It's bizarre to me. And they've said now, and Robert's come out too, and been like, we were both on board with this. But, like, it's just bizarre to me that they're like, yeah, this is a good idea. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you're really worried about people being annoyed that the newscaster's name was Robert Lee.
Can you just imagine, like, a football game comes on, right? And then the announcer comes up, starts talking about it, and comes under there, like, Robert Lee newscaster.
Outrage.
And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm offended. Right? I mean, I almost could picture it nowadays, but that's just insane to me.
Yes, and it's scary because they thought they were at risk by having him out. And now it's, of course, they're in the news more because of what they chose to do. I think it was a bad decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't find a way to justify this decision.
No.
And it's like, who remembers the newscasters of a game?
No.
Who's like, I love that game, and specifically the commentary play-by-play.
Exactly. I mean, I always like turn the volume down on those guys because I'm like,
because they're
so
idiots.
Annoying.
No, I don't know.
But it's crazy that they would seriously like take someone out and not let them do their job, right?
Yep.
Just because they have the name of a Confederate general who, like 160 years ago they had this fight?
Well, yeah,
like,
and he was. So now
crazy.
it's bad to have Confederate statues.
Yes,
we already knew it was bad to be white.
Absolutely.
Now it's bad to have.
Is out of there.
Confederate flag is gone. It's been gone.
Now
it's also bad to have a name similar to Confederate. Next thing you know,
dude.
Robert's not going to be a name for anybody because they're going to be like,
Jackson's bad name.
Jackson's out. George is out. Jefferson's out. Davis is out.
Take them all out,
dude. Like, it's insane. Like, the idea that the name is going to offend people.
Yeah.
Those people that get offended. That's the issue. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
If you're getting offended because the name of a newscaster for a play-by-play is similar to someone from a time period you never had anything close to being a part of, I'm sorry. I can't help you with that.
And here's the thing. Like, I would like to think at least that most people wouldn't even notice it, right?
But they thought about it.
But ESPN, exactly, they think about it and are like, oh, this is going to be a problem. When in reality, if they just aired it like it was scheduled,
literally no one would have cared.
I do not think that anyone would be talking about it right now.
No.
But now everyone's talking about it because ESPN has showed their true colors once again because they just can't help themselves for jumping into politics.
Right. And I mean, but then again, I mean, any news is good news, so who knows? I mean, it could be like we're talking about it again, like we seem to say.
Talking about it.
I don't know. I don't know if it was bad or whatever because I mean they have seen a decline in viewership. Mm-hmm. Actually, they've seen a pretty big decline in viewership because of our next story.
Yeah, dude, exactly. I mean, you have the whole Colin Kaepernick debacle, right? Which has been plaguing the NFL for a long time. It was actually there was a survey that came out by Pew Research that talked about the number one reason why the NFL ratings had dropped and why people had decided to not watch NFL games. And 26% of people said it was because of the kneeling for the national anthem. That was amazing. The most. There was like 20% for some other reason. I don't know exactly.
A quarter of the people that stopped watching.
Yeah, dude, because the national anthem. But so this story comes from, of course, Colin Kaepernick. If you're not really a big sports person,
quarterback.
Yeah,
just
star
one of the best ever.
See, this is because I'm not like a huge sports person. I watch football, obviously. Yeah, I'm a Falcons fan.
We're American, so we have to watch American football.
Exactly. But you can appreciate this story anyways because, of course, Colin Kaepernick has been playing for, I think he was drafted, I think he played in 2013 was when he made it to the Super Bowl. But anyways, the past 2 years, yeah, he's been playing for like 6 seasons.
Who was he on when he made the Super Bowl?
San Francisco 49ers.
They were in the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they lost.
But all right. Yeah. I'm not really big into sports. I didn't know they were in the Super Bowl recently.
They made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah, he was in it. He was the backup quarterback at the time. The other quarterback was injured, and then they ended up in the Super Bowl. I think it was 2013.
I didn't know they were in the Super Bowl.
2013, I think. But anyways, so for the past 2 seasons, he's had a really bad quarterback rating. I think there's 32 teams in the NFL. He was like 26 and 28. Just not highly rated at all. So it's not unusual if he gets cut, right? That's how the sport happens. People get cut. And then, of course, obviously, when you kneel for the national anthem and the NFL sees rating drops, there's going to be teams that are reluctant to sign him because they're not going to want to see a decline in viewership. Because if people aren't watching football games, nobody gets paid.
Right.
That's just the reality of it. It's completely consumer funded. So if you have a figure as polarizing as Colin Kaepernick, despite the fact that he's a terrible quarterback, you might not want to sign him anyways. Now, I believe if he had a good QB rating score,
like if he was Tom Brady, it'd be a different story.
If he was a good quarterback, he would be signed anyways because the teams need to win, obviously.
Well, because it would offset. People would want to watch him because he was good.
Absolutely.
It would offset the kneeling.
But the fact that he's not a good quarterback anyways, and then also he has this big controversy around him.
No, he's like a black sheep. You don't want that on your team.
Exactly.
And it's
racist.
Black sheep, racist. Yeah, no, it makes sense, like logically, but people have been starting to get outraged that he still hasn't gotten signed, as far as I know, right?
No, he hasn't.
I know Baltimore was looking at him.
The drafts are over now. He's not signed.
So what's he do now?
He's a free agent. So now technically, but he's not a quarterback.
He's sitting out waiting for someone to call.
I mean, he could wait for next season or try and do something like that. But he wasn't signed to any teams.
Yeah, I wish we had this started when he actually first knelt because it was just I don't know. Yeah, I really respected I think it was the Rangers coach. We're switching to hockey now. I'm pretty sure it was the Rangers coach. Said that anyone that kneeled for the national anthem would be sat for their game.
Yeah, it's widespread.
And I was like, that makes sense because, yes, Colin Kaepernick knelt. What was it, because of police violence or just the flag represented the bad oppression? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. I find it hard pressed to back that up.
Yeah.
Yes, we have problems. Yes, there are some cops that are bad.
Yeah.
We have some people that are racist. But the country, to say that the flag symbolizes, no, I'm sorry.
And even if you think that, you can still stand for the national anthem, which is a unifying anthem, right?
Yes.
And then maybe come out and speak against it in your press conference or something.
Right.
I would prefer that sports remain sports and politics is politics. But if you need to talk about it there, right?
The fact that he was allowed to kneel proves the anti-point he was trying to make. It proves the fact that what he was saying. If it was a super oppressive
system, he wouldn't be able to kneel during the
and he might maybe down twist out to say, well, obviously I can't kneel because now I can't get signed, and it's like those are different because no one wants. It's bad for ratings, obviously. Let's be honest, the NFL's there to make money.
Yeah, but people are pretty outraged about this. I mean, we saw just today at the time of the recording on Wednesday, there were over 1,000 people in New York at the NFL headquarters that were protesting Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, 1,000 people. I mean, that were protesting Colin Kaepernick. The hashtag I'm with Colin was trending today. And just basically people outraged that Colin wasn't drafted. I mean, we've seen ESPN anchors, one called the NFL team owners cowards for not drafting Colin Kaepernick. And then we have but I think it's interesting because we had a unnamed NFL general manager come out and he basically said, look, there's three reasons that teams aren't drafting Colin Kaepernick. The first one is that obviously a lot of teams don't think that he can play well, right? Because his quarterback rating just isn't good. That's a fact.
He's just not an amazing quarterback.
If you just look at the stats. Yeah, he's not that great of a quarterback. Then number 2, he came out and he said, look, the baggage that comes with him, it's undisputed that there's a lot of baggage. He's a polarizing character like we talked about, and the overwhelming majority of people who watch the NFL disapprove of kneeling for the national anthem. That's just a fact. If you look at the statistics and the surveys that are taken. And then he talked about another one, and he said, quote, third, the rest genuinely hate him and can't stand what he did. They want nothing to do with him and won't move on. I mean, this is an NFL general manager who decides,
but I mean, it's an anonymous. We don't know who it is, right?
Yeah, we don't know who it is, but I mean, it's a confirmed source of an NFL general manager. But I can see that people dislike him for that.
I would be on board with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would be the same.
It's a team sport, right? There's got to be team camaraderie there. People have to. The quarterback is the leader of the team, really. So people have to appreciate and respect the quarterback. And if you don't do that,
you're going to have a bad time on the field.
It's going to be hard because there's a ton of players who have come out. There's a couple players on the Steelers who have come out and been like, if you're kneeling, you better be in a wheelchair.
Yeah. They're targeting him when he's on the field.
Absolutely.
Because you that's what's amazing about here is that they're not that they're allowed to target players, but they feel strongly, and that, I mean, it's not wrong for them to feel that way. Yeah. Like, if they feel like what he did was ridiculous, and I would tend to agree.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It felt like a way to get his name out there and to get recognition as this is the guy. And if it had taken off, he would have been the forefront of it.
Yeah.
He would be huge right now if it had taken off and people would have been like, oh, this is so good.
But it didn't, because the facts don't back it up. And we'll have to do a video about that about some time. Yeah. But it's just not backed up by statistics at all whatsoever.
It's ridiculous. And I remember that happened, and I knew so many people. I think it was your dad is one of them, bro. That was just like embarrassed as a San Francisco.
Absolutely, man. Because he lived in San Francisco.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. And there were team owners. I know the New York Jets team owner said that he got countless letters of fans like, if you draft Colin Kaepernick or any polarizing character who kneels for the national anthem, like, we're not going to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's based off of views. That's how they make their money.
That's not racism. That's just capitalism. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
And it's not weird that you want people to kneel or to stand for the national anthem.
No, it's not. And we're not a country of oppression. I'm sorry. Like, you're the most free here, pretty much, as you'll see later on. Like, there's nowhere really else that you can be just
if you
as
were
free.
Super oppressed, you would be arrested for kneeling for the anthem.
Yes.
Right? Like, you can go to North Korea, and I guarantee you, if you kneel and protest the anthem or whatever it is they do over there, you'll be freaking tortured and you'll be in prison.
Go protest crap over in the Middle East.
Yeah, and then come talk.
Yes, and it's so quickly to diffuse it with just simply understanding the situation.
Yeah.
Yes, we have problems. Yes, there are issues that need to be dealt with. But to label the flag, which is the symbolism of the whole country, as this oppressive thing is disingenuous and kind of just like icky, and I wouldn't
because you can criticize something without totally taking the entire thing and throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Just everything.
It's impossible. Everything has to go.
Yep. Okay. Nowadays, it's all or nothing, Jared. It's 110% or it's 0%.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you referenced the Middle East there. So we got this past week.
Yeah, Trump had a little bit of a speech on the situation with Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Right, and some people were really interested in watching this, and I was too. And I actually I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I watched it later on, but because it was a very big talking point while he was campaigning. You know, like what he was saying, what Obama did was ridiculous, and he was gonna.
Well, he criticized George Bush and Obama for for their presence for staying in Afghanistan
and restricting the military, like terms of
rules of engagement.
Rules of engagement,
absolutely.
But yeah, it was kind of underwhelming.
I mean, it's typical, so I think it's important to note, he starts off with the first part of the speech, right? And he says, look, I criticize this heavily. If you watched any of the presidential debates or anything, it's no surprise that President Trump was against the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He heavily criticized it. And so this is kind of what he said, because he announced that he was going to have 4,000 more troops in Afghanistan. And this is kind of what he said, and I thought it was encouraging. We can talk about it after this, but here's a clip of what he said about it.
My original instinct was to pull out. And historically, I like following my instincts. But all my life, I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. In other words, when you're President of the United States. So I studied Afghanistan in great detail and from every conceivable angle. After many meetings, over many months, we held our final meeting last Friday at Camp David with my cabinet and generals to complete our strategy.
So yeah, I think anyone with a little bit of understanding would realize that yes, what they campaign for is not always going to be exactly what they do, because there is information they just don't know as a candidate compared to a president.
Yeah.
You know, like I would really, I so want to know what is going on over there.
The information that
Why are we still over there in such a big degree? What is the reason?
I thought it was interesting because we saw kind of a part of President Trump that you don't really see. He provided a reason why he changed his mind, because he flip-flops a good amount
doesn't, though.
On issues. Yeah, but he doesn't.
But he doesn't.
But he flip-flops a good amount. And it was at least refreshing somewhat in this speech to hear him say, like, look, all my life I've followed my gut, and here I'm now in the office of the presidency, and I've gotten information, and I've changed my mind.
Yeah.
So I thought that was refreshing. But really, it's a lot more of the same. There's one significant detail about the rules of engagement that he has changed that has led to kind of advancements and stuff in the region. But it is more of the same. He's one of the big things was he has, of course, 4,000 more troops in Afghanistan.
Well, we only had like 8,000 there, I think, right? So he's 50% more people there.
It's so hard because in Afghanistan, you're not fighting a government or like an established leader of the country, right? Like the Afghanistan government isn't
at war with us.
Yeah, exactly. At war with the United States. It's these terrorist cells and this ideology that is. And
it's so bad.
What the hard part about it is Americans have to accept the fact that we're in the Middle East and our presence in the Middle East is widely to decrease large amounts of terrorist attacks against the West. That's really the reason that we're there. And if Americans are okay with spending a lot of money, resources, and lives in there, stopping that from happening, then that's victory. Because one thing that he talked about in the speech that I thought was interesting is he talked about how we need to have a victory that is what am I trying to say? That is sufficient to the amount of lives and the sacrifices that have been placed to take Afghanistan and take over it. But the sad truth is it's not a total war, right? We're not fighting Germany like we were in World War II. There's not going to be a set victory day. The victory that we will receive is the fact that there's not 9/11s happening often.
There's no figurehead to take down to stop
this.
There's
not. There's just an ideology that you have to kind of keep suppressed.
Right. It's going to be... We really should do a video separate on that because it's so hard to figure out what we should do. Like,
it is.
Yes, if we go back, we can kind of figure out if we would have gotten involved. And I think that's kind of a dumb argument at this point because we are involved. Absolutely. So it's not about, well, should we have gotten involved? It's how do we deal with it moving forward?
Absolutely.
And it's very hard now. It's like, I don't know because, again, there's information I feel like we just don't know.
Yeah.
Because every president since Bush, up and just Obama and Trump, has come forward like, we're going to pull out immediately. And then they get in there and like, we can't. Why can't we? There has to be something. And I understand the vacuum thing, which is why we have ISIS. A lot of people think is because as soon as you take out a bad group and then just leave, you leave a vacuum for someone to immediately take over.
Absolutely.
Right? So I understand that. And if that's the idea, maybe that makes sense. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I do like that Trump talked about how he was moving military commands and whatever to the military generals and not himself.
Yeah, I think
Obama classically was in charge of all of the troop deployments, missions, and whatever. Trump is now going to defer to Mattis, which I think makes sense.
It's great, man. I mean,
delegate.
He talked about how winning wars is not won from Washington micromanaging the generals, right? That's not how you win battles. Is kind of what he was talking about, and that's huge, right?
Yeah.
The rules of engagement under Obama were like, you basically can't fight back until you're shot.
Right.
And
then you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. And that's obviously a problem. And that's kind of how we've seen in advancements in Syria with ISIS and stuff. But still, at that point, it's so hard to win the war that we're in and the conflict that we're already so heavily involved in.
Yeah, because there's not even like a clear defined what is winning.
No, there's not.
Know?
I mean, really, what winning is just stopping these terrorist cells from coming up and creating these mass scale terrorist attacks. Because that's all they can do. They can't win in an open war against the U.S.
Yeah,
there's no way. So all they can do is create these mass chaos scenarios where they fly a jet into a building or go drive, a car into a crowd of people and blow it up or something. So as long as we're kind of diminishing the amount of terrorist attacks that are happening.
But are we diminishing them? Because I feel like there's been more.
I mean, if you think
that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we haven't seen anything like 9/11.
We have
Nothing
not seen
even
anything.
close. We've seen some crazy people drive cars into crowds of people, or a crazy person and his wife, like in San Bernardino, grab an AR-15 and go shoot at people. But there's really almost no way to stop that, right? Without infringing on people's rights.
But there's also no proof that our war in Afghanistan is correlated to a lack of 9/11 since. It's always hard to do the same kind of thing twice, right? Because we're ready for it now.
Yeah.
We had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah, other than the fact that there hasn't been a wide-scale terrorist attack in the United States since then. That has killed 9/11 had 3,000 casualties. It was terrible. The most since then, I think, was San Bernardino, or maybe the nightclub Pulse.
Pulse was a lot.
I mean, it was tens of people. It was under 50 people, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
Which is still nowhere near close, just statistically speaking, of 9/11.
Yes, I understand that, but
we've stopped the terrorist cells and the organization of it
have
on
we
a
stopped
widespread.
them?
I mean, they just haven't struck yet. That's what's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, is it worth being there? And if we leave, are they going to create this presence of terrorist cells that are going to do these attacks?
And it's costing money and lives to be over there, which is...
And fatigue of troops and morale and everything. So it's definitely
a
complex
the population.
Issue.
Like, we're pretty divided on over there, you know? And it's kind of ironic that we're so divided over there, yet... Regardless of who comes in there, I think everyone can agree Obama and Trump are polar opposites, right?
Yeah.
Yet both of them agreed to stay over there.
Similar, yeah, absolutely.
So there's something there that we just don't know.
There. I think the main kind of things are obviously the rules of engagement are different under Trump, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And then also Trump kind of talked about how the United States has jumped in and tried to do kind of these regime changes where we make those countries democratic systems like the United States, and how it's failed.
Yes.
And I agree with that. He condemned Pakistan, which was interesting how Obama always praised them. He kind of promoted up creating an alliance with India, which I thought was interesting. But really, all in all, it's pretty similar other than the rules of engagement. And then, I mean, we're still over there. We're putting more troops over there, more capital, more investments over there. So, we'll see what happens. There's really no end in sight in the longest war in the United States history. It's been going on for 17 years now.
Yeah. It's
it's a hard issue.
It's bizarre. It's
Absolutely.
very bizarre.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap up with what was nuts this week, and we're going to jump right into the main topic. All right, guys, we are back in the main topic, and we got a couple things. I just couldn't resist. We have to talk about this before we kind of jump into the main topic that we're going to talk about. But this is Hillary Clinton's new memoir, I guess.
Upcoming,
yes. And
appropriately titled, What Happened?
Yes, what happened, exactly. And truly, what happened, right?
Yes.
So it's all about, of course, the 2016 election cycle and everything like that. And she has this to say about her experience with Donald Trump.
This is not okay, I thought. It was the second presidential debate, and Donald Trump was looming behind me. 2 days before, the world heard him brag about groping women. Now we were on a small stage, and no matter where I walked, he followed me closely, staring at me, making faces. It was incredibly uncomfortable. He was literally breathing down my neck. My skin crawled.
Literally breathing down my neck.
Literally breathing down.
Literally
shaking right now.
Yes. I'm literally on the other side of the room as you. If we're using the same definition of literally.
Could you imagine if in that, I think it was the second debate, she just is like, back up, you creep.
Right? You know why she didn't say it?
Weird.
Because it would have been ridiculous.
Because it would have been ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
people would have flocked
she
more towards
is so amped to just jump on any amount of relevancy she can.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, this memoir is going to sell a ton.
You think it will?
Oh, for sure.
Because her other books haven't sold that well. But this,
I think
you're
the
right
last
that
one,
this will sell.
The Shattered book about her election that came out, not part of her, just separate. That sold really well. It was a New York Times bestseller.
Was it really?
Yes.
Yeah, New York Times is trusted.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, I think it's.
She's
dude,
insane, dude.
She's talking about.
We all watched the debate. No one talked about the fact that Donald Trump was on top of her, staring like he was. It was creepy the way he was standing there, but that's just Donald Trump.
That's Donald Trump. If you watch Donald Trump, he stands there.
He's a creepy guy, man. He's weird, dude.
No, but I think it's crazy that she's super, like, he was breathing down my neck, and he was invading her personal space.
What was I supposed to say? At this point, I had a decision to make.
It's like, I know what you were supposed to say. Maybe debate what he was saying cohesively with some rational arguments, but you're not capable of doing that because you're a freaking idiot. So maybe that's what you would say.
Well, maybe maybe have a platform that's not, I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Step one, don't have a platform that's just the other person's platform.
Exactly, or vote for me because I'm a woman. Like, maybe come up with some good ideas.
It's time.
You're right. It's totally time. It should happen. No, but it's crazy, man. When I was listening to this the first time, I was like, are you serious right now?
It's really hard to be surprised by what she does, but I was actually pretty surprised.
It was pretty surprised.
And I was like, because at first she had the Shattered book that came out, and I had heard about that book, and I heard it was pretty good. You should, I mean, I don't know if I would recommend it, but I heard it was good. It was kind of a dive into the election, but it was from a third-person perspective, not actually her herself. And I thought she was reading.
If it was from her perspective, wouldn't be.
I thought it was reading. She was reading that book, right? It's in like an audiobook sounding of what this clip is, and I thought it was from that book, and I was like, that's interesting that she was saying that back before it really would have been a relevant social thing.
Well,
but then I was like, oh, this is from the book that hasn't come out yet that she probably wrote recently. Of course she's going to say this.
Of course.
She wants to sell books. And, I mean, forget that we all saw the debate and realized this wasn't what happened.
At all.
This is what happened, guys.
Yeah.
Once again, Hillary Clinton rewriting history, as every politician does.
Dude, but it's crazy because like she can't just take responsibility that she lost, right? Like
she didn't lose.
You're right. She won the popular vote.
She did. Yeah, she should have been president. Yeah, Donald Trump won, but Hillary Clinton didn't lose.
Yeah,
it's very close. It's a little bit of a difference. But...
You know what? I think that's about his best. That's the most well put that anyone could. Kind of say
I agree.
So
let's move on to the next one.
Just go on from there. So yeah, man, we got of course the good old the UK, man, cracking down on hate crimes online, because I don't know if you've ever heard of the internet or anything, but it's a group of very reasonable people who don't say anything offensive ever.
Right. So we're going to be talking about the recent UK kind of policies they put forward to fight hate crime online, mainly on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, I don't know what else. They mainly named Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, I guess, is a little bit. Of it, man. But it's mostly Twitter and Facebook.
Reddit probably, too. Just anything that has to do with where anyone's expressing their opinion that could be a hate crime.
Right. And so this is just a little worrisome because I think it's a classic example of like overreach, right? And taking advantage of. Absolutely. Because so what the UK government has done is they came forward, specifically Miss Sanders of the public prosecution, Alison Sanders, this is the UK government system, said that where white nationalists clash with counter-protesters in Charlottesville, it showed what online abuse can lead to. So she was talking about the recent protest in Charlottesville, which we've talked about, and the ridiculousness that was that protest. It was completely insane. The guy that drove through, in jail. He's a murderer. He's a terrorist. He's whatever you want to call him. White supremacist, neo-Nazi. That's not acceptable in society. Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yes. So but there's a difference between saying that's not acceptable and then proposing legislation to cut down on the freedoms of the other people because of something that a ridiculous, crazy, outside of the normal spectrum person did.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're exactly doing here. So what they want to try to do, their grand, I guess, goal is to treat hate crimes on the internet in the same way that hate crimes done in person are. Yeah. Which, on its surface, I would be on board for.
It makes sense that hate crimes, you should treat all kind of language the same way, right?
Right. Whether it's online anonymously or it's in person, which I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of the anonymous comments spoken in person.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're living in a different world. I think in-person threats are much different than anonymous threats online, but I agree with the principle of it, that they should be treated the same, right?
And
I mean, you're not going to get punched online. You might get punched in person, so it's
punch
different.
A Nazi.
Punch a Nazi. But I think the principle of it is valid to that extent.
And so but unfortunately, what a lot of people, and me included, have kind of had an issue with is what they they define a hate crime as.
Yes.
So the Crown Prosecution Service, I love that they have so many like monarchy things, like the Crown.
Even though if you look into it, like the Crown has absolutely no authority. Really.
Yeah, but they
it's
still
all
have
by
the
Parliament.
nice,
but it's
like
just kind
nice,
of
you know,
legally there.
It's like medieval almost, you know.
There you go.
But anyway, what they describe a hate crime is a hate incident is any incident which the victim or anybody else thinks it is based on someone's prejudice towards them because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, or because they are transgender. That by itself is a little weird, like race, origin, religion. Also, if they're transgender, like they added that at the last second. But the problem with this is super vague.
Well, let me see. Like, what law is defined based on the feelings of the victim, right? That doesn't happen, weird. Right? Murder is murder, no matter what the victim feels. If they feel that they're murdered but they're not dead, it's not murder.
Guys, I felt this was justified. I don't really think it's murder.
Yeah,
clear.
It's crazy that they're defining it as whatever the victim feels that it is. Like, if you're going to at least impose these laws on free speech, which I'm against, because I think that unless it's inciting violence, I think that hate speech is absolutely
unfortunately,
protected.
It needs to be protected.
And should be protected.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I think that it definitely should be protected unless it's inciting violence, like we said. But if it's just kind of like whatever the victim feels that it is.
That's the part. It says any incident which the victim or anybody else
or anyone
thinks it is based on.
So you could be having a private conversation with someone, and that person over there is like,
eavesdropping.
Hold on,
here's it.
That's offensive. And that's a hate crime.
And then they want to crack down on this hate crime with the full enforcement of the law, and it's like, it's weird, you know. Like online, are you gonna have someone sees a tweet made by someone that they think is offensive, and then that person that made the tweet is now in jeopardy for hurting someone's feelings? You know, like yes, like we said, the idea of treating online interactions the same as in-person interactions, principally, I'm on board. That makes sense to me. Yes, we should be held like I
should be held accountable for what you say,
right,
whether it's behind a computer screen or face to face.
Right, and I like that the internet at this point is kind of a wild west. You know, there's so many. You can start a Twitter page as someone else entirely and say whatever you want. That's kind of nice, but like as a society, I can understand the want for it to be tied to a name and to be tied to a person, and then be tied to saying in person or online. But the vagueness of what they describe a hate incident as, and then the ability for anyone to like say, well, hey, this tweet is offensive to me, that's a hate crime, and then hate crime carries punishable things by law. Yeah. It's kind of messed up.
And the idea that they're so naive, I wouldn't even call it naive because I think that they know what they're doing here.
Oh, they totally know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, but if you just kind of take it from an innocent standpoint of they're so naive that they think that new laws and new regulations will stop people from committing hate crimes online, that's insane. I think this is absolutely a power grab to limit speech and what people can and cannot say in the UK. I think that's definitely what it is.
Because think about it. So say you had a bunch of people and the problem is that they hate one another. What's the solution? Is the solution to ban what they can say? Like, you're not fixing the problem. You're just turning it, instead of outward, you're turning it inward. Yeah, absolutely. Right? You're not going to fix... They're not going to be like, oh, I hate them. Oh, wait, I can't say anything about it. I don't hate them anymore.
It's very hard to legislate morality.
Right.
It's incredibly hard, other than black and white issues like murder and such and perjury and such like that. Yeah. No, but you can't legislate morality, right? So, like, the fact that you think that you can legislate people from saying, you know, certain hate crimes, which the problem is it's not even defined. Like you said, a hate crime can be defined by whatever the victim feels like is a hate crime. So it's not like they have strict guidelines for if you use this kind of language, if you use the N-word here, if you're using this kind of explicit language, it can be classified as a hate crime. That's not what it is at all. This right now could be classified as a hate crime.
It is a hate
crime. For just
crime.
Speaking against it.
Hate crime podcast.
Absolutely.
Episode 1. Yeah, no, that's a big problem.
It's absolutely a problem. And I think what it is like, I mean, this is the UK adopting this, right? I mean, the UK and the United, like, they're pretty big. They're obviously a Western nation. And typically what the UK adopts ends up getting adopted by other countries, you know, 10, 15 years down the line. And I do not want to see this at all.
I don't think
coming
you will
to the United
here.
States. I hope not. I could see it happening within 15, 20 years, though. I could honestly see these kind of laws being in place.
I mean... Yes, maybe. There has been, I mean, the UK's internet has been heavily regulated for a while. I mean, they have certain sites that they just straight up block. That is not the way we have it here in America, which I'm very grateful for, because it's no one else's business what I want to look at or what I want to look. I mean, if you think it's offensive, so then I shouldn't see it, because what if it doesn't offend me?
Yeah.
You know, like, this is such a weird thing, because say the incident, which is the victim feels offended. What if the other person feels like they're not offended? What happens?
Can we just talk about for a second really quick?
Who cares about your feelings?
Yeah, dude. Why do people get so offended about everything? Like, if you find something I do offensive,
Big
so
deal.
what, man? Like, I can believe what I want to believe, and you can believe what you want to believe, and I can think you're a piece of garbage, and you can think I'm a piece of garbage, and it can all be legal, and that's fine.
And everyone's a piece of garbage.
What's wrong with that? I think that's great.
Yes.
I love that. I think that it's great that we have a society that allows people to completely despise and disagree with what other people do, but they're both legal, and as long as you're not inciting violence towards the other person or infringing on their rights, it's fine.
I figured out the problem.
Okay.
Is you want diversity in thought.
Yes.
You know,
you're
like,
right.
you want people to think differently.
Yeah.
That's not the goal, Jared.
You're right.
The goal is to think the same,
How could I
therefore
be so naive?
there's no issues.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If everyone thinks the same way, who cares?
I see it your way now. Thank you for opening and enlightening me to
Yeah,
this new
you
reality
now
of the
you
world.
know more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Unlike the UK. Yeah, no, but this is it's a little scary. I mean, they did bring up figures with the amount of hate crimes compared to last year. I mean, they were up 41%.
But the problem is, what classifies a hate crime?
This is true. It has seemed to have gotten broader.
Yes.
With the idea that it can be whoever somebody on the street thinks it was a hate crime, it becomes a hate crime.
You can almost
That's
classify
very true.
anything as a hate crime now.
You
under
can.
Under that
100%.
legalistic definition of what a hate crime is.
Right. And maybe the end goal is virtuous. Maybe the end goal of like stopping all this hatred between groups, which we have seen a lot of, is virtuous, but I cannot get on board with the process they've taken to solve this issue.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't going to solve anything. Like, do you think that just limiting what they can say online, not even really limiting, because I cannot see them enforcing this.
Yeah.
There's too many things that too many people are offended by for them to actually enforce
internet,
this.
Man. And like you said, even if you think that what they're doing is virtuous, even if you take the side of the government is here to protect me and it's a good thing, then I still disagree with the process. But then if you take the skeptical side of it as a power grab, it's definitely wrong. So, like, you can easily fight this on both sides by saying, like, look, it's not the government job to come in here and regulate morality. People aren't going to just all of a sudden, because they say it's illegal or you can't do these things, which, by the way, like you said, it's going to be very difficult to enforce.
Yeah.
Like, if you think any change is going to come of this, that's crazy. Unless, like, some of the like big circumstances where maybe, you know, someone gets alienated or taken off some of these big, like, Facebook or Twitter or something for saying something that's a hate crime.
Yeah.
But your average everyday person isn't going to experience this, really, because it's going to be really hard to enforce.
Yes.
But just the fact that the law is on the book, like, they could take a big channel off, or, you know, take someone who has a wide presence on YouTube or Google or something like that and totally just take them out to eliminate their audience because they're violating these supposed hate crimes is definitely a problem.
Right. And what I also have a big problem is that they talked about what happened in Charlottesville as a reason that this needs to be enforced. Like, the idea that you can look at what happened in a country on the a country across the pond, right? Country you have nothing really to do with, and look at this one guy and the couple people. Like, let's be honest, the people, like, the thing that happened in Charlottesville is such a small part of our population.
It is, absolutely.
We have
and they're despicable people.
20 million.
Absolutely.
Right. People, a majority of Americans, vast majority would say this is wrong, right? But you can take that, and then from that subset of the neo-Nazi, take the one guy that's on the outlier that actually drove a car, right?
Yep.
And say the violence there was bad, and then turn that around and say, okay, because of this one person in this part of this subgroup of this other country across the pond, we are now going to censor everything all of our citizens do on the internet.
I mean, flip it around. It'd be like the person who killed those 5 cops in Dallas, right? You'd be like, this person right here, we need to create new legislation because this one crazy person out of 330 million people went out and shot 5 cops. We need to create this whole new legislation that affects a wide span of people. The way that they use the internet we need to kind of regulate that now just because of one crazy person.
It's super deceptive.
It's absolutely insane.
Although I'm on board to banning double shot scopes.
Double shot scopes, yes.
Very bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very bad.
I mean, so it's kind of interesting because, like, we've had personal conversations about this before. Like, I would rather live in a more free society that may be slightly more dangerous, but people are free, rather than having one outlier commit some, like, horrible act, like driving a car into a crowd of people or shooting 5 police officers, and then kind of the big brother coming in and regulating all of these things. And honestly, if you look at it, it doesn't really help.
It doesn't.
From a standpoint of violence, because people are going to use, if you outlaw guns, people are going to use cars, people are going to use knives. Like, there's always going to be a weapon that terrorists, that insane people are going to be used.
Crazy people that are
acts.
willing to take that step to take someone else's life, they're going to figure out a way.
They're going to figure out a
Maybe
different way.
you stop some,
yeah.
But is it worth stopping some as for the freedom of all?
Absolutely.
I would say no.
I would absolutely say
I think that's a very American idea that we have.
It's unique, I think, almost.
What's called freedom.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Unique.
But yeah. It's.
So what do you think? I think the main problem of this is just it's spreading to other nations, right? This policy.
Well, I don't mind the policy. If someone wants to bring forward this policy, bring it forward. Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about it. And let's figure out, is this a good policy to bring forward?
Yeah.
And I think there'd be enough evidence to kind of dissuade this for it being put into law.
Right.
But I don't think that's what's going on here. I mean, the fact is they're trying to manipulate the audience with saying what happened in Charlottesville, which honestly, like we don't look at other countries and then enact legislation based on what happened in other countries. I don't understand this idea that they're doing that to us. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to look at Syria and be like, you know what? Maybe we should impose some laws because of what's happening.
Because of what's happening in Syria.
It's weird to me that's totally a thing. But I just... I'm not on board. And I think that it should... If you want to bring up this idea, sure, bring it up. But let's talk about it and let's figure out that, like, I would hope that the majority of people would quickly understand that this is kind of would do nothing to solve this idea of this rise of hate crimes. Because I do think that there probably is a rise in hate crimes.
Yeah, sure.
And I think we are a more divided country we have been in a long time.
Yeah.
But is restricting our speech... I mean, again, this is not us being restricted. This is the UK. But I'm saying... I'm trying to think of it as if it was happening to me.
Western society.
Would this help? I don't think it would help.
No, I don't.
I think toning down the political rhetoric. I think toning down the mainstream media rhetoric. I think toning down this idea that everyone against you is bad, or this idea that it's okay to have political discussions with fists and violence. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Let's enact a law that says that you can't just completely be biased as a news source. I don't know.
It's really hard because it comes down to, like, people, individuals, right? The only way
it's collectivism, bro. It's a word group.
Right, exactly. Government can't change this. I'm sorry.
No, they can fix everything.
Trigger warning. Government cannot fix the problem that's facing Western society, whether it be the UK or America today, the divisiveness that we're seeing in society today. Government can't solve the problem. It has got to come down to the individual people making the choice to be unified in some areas and not just be like crazy, insane, over hypersensitive social justice warriors and offended by everything. You can't have a society that's structured on logic and reason based on those beliefs. Like, you just can't. It just can't happen.
It would have to be one or the other.
And it can't be mandated by law. It can't, because it can't be enforced. So it has to come down to the people making a conscious effort and a conscious choice to just kind of putting that stuff behind you. And if you disagree with someone, that's fine.
You just made the best argument for why this will never be fixed.
That's okay. Yeah,
because
I know,
the majority of people are stupid.
They do not understand this.
No.
And every time that I look at a news source or bring up an article or watch a video, and I mean, I try and tell myself that it's the loud minority of people and that most people aren't like this, and I genuinely hope that that is true. But it's so despairing to see so many people be offended by just ridiculous things, man. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. But I don't know, man. I mean, that's my take on it. I think that's your take on it. And tell us what you think in the comment section below. Let us know if you think we're crazy, because I'm sure, there's someone out there.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you guys think that this is a good way to go about solving the problem of hate crime? I mean, do you even think there is a problem of hate crime? I'd be interested to hear. Because, personally, yes, there is an issue of hate crime going up, I would say, because but I think it's more of an issue of people being pitted against each other that really don't know that they're being pitted against one another. I think that's a lot of people being taken advantage of and being told this is what they should do if they're good, whatever they are.
Yeah.
You know, like, you should be doing this. You should hate people that think this. What are you doing? And then like, oh, I should be doing this, and then they do it, and it's kind of an indoctrination.
The diagnosis that there's maybe an increase in hate crimes may be true, but the solution of either government intervention or something like that may not be the correct way to do it.
Always with government intervention.
Always with government intervention. Well said, sir. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up this week's main topic, and we're going to jump right into what triggered us this week. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to jump right into what was nuts this week. Of course, this is a place that we replace all reasonable, rational, and logical thinking with only emotion. And I'm going to go first here because I have to get it out of the way.
Dude,
yours is positive, so we'll end on a good note. But this is absolutely insane. And quite honestly, if I was the father of this child, there would be more than words that are expressed.
This is disgusting, and I would want to and probably try my hardest to beat the crap out of this coach.
Absolutely. So here, we're going to show a video of this. This is a cheerleader. She's 13 years old.
It's a messed up video, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's kind of a video of what happens, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
No. You're gonna make it worse. Stop me.
So this is a video of a 13-year-old cheerleader, freshman in high school, going to a cheer camp for the high school, being forced to do a split. Now, yes, splits are what cheerleaders do, sure. But the fact that she says, please no, stop, multiple times.
9 times.
Some people said 9 freaking times in this video. Her team's there forcing her down because this is what the coach wants.
There.
This is what the coach prescribed. Yeah. It's freaking messed up. Then afterwards, it came out like her mom sent this video to the school. It was like, listen, my daughter had tissue damage. She
has to go to, I think, she said a physical therapist like 4 or 5 times.
This is ridiculous. And then the school did absolutely nothing.
Until the local news station got a hold of it.
Oh, until actually people started watching it and being like, well, why are you doing this?
What is going on? No, but what do you do if you're the parent in this situation? Like, honestly, the mom handled it quite well because she got the video and sent it into the school.
I hate advocating violence, but dude, if this was my daughter and if I had the ability to
I would be there and I would be
coach,
like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is not acceptable. You cannot touch my freaking daughter again. Like, this is...
Right, and
it's uncomfortable to watch that video.
It's very uncomfortable. She was clearly in pain.
Yes.
And yes, I understand stretching, pushing yourself. I understand that.
It's fine to push yourself to do the best you're doing. No, I mean, she's physically in pain here. She's tearing tissue. She's saying, please no, stop, please no. They keep pushing her there, and he doesn't pull her up until, like 15 seconds into this stretch.
Causing damage to her, which you have proof of damage to her.
I mean, this is absolutely insane.
The worst part is this isn't an isolated incident. And there now has been up to, I think 8 videos of other cheerleaders having the same thing done to them at this camp or whatever.
And you would think the coach was fired, right?
No, he's let go, bro.
He's just on a leave for a little while.
He probably misspoke.
Yeah, I'd find out where he's going on that leave, and I'd pay him a visit.
Yeah,
I mean, that is just
this guy is a piece of garbage. Yeah. And I'm sorry, alright, so if this is a normal thing that is with cheer camps, I've never been to a cheer camp, I don't know. Maybe this is a normal thing. That's also a problem. If this is normal, this is bad, man. You're causing pain and trouble.
Well, it seems like it's mainstream at this school. We didn't really. It's in Denver, Colorado. Of course, is where this school is, and this girl is Allie Wakefield. But if it is mainstream, like you're talking about it, there's 8 other people who've come out, and the news station has said they have 8 other videos of this happening.
How much damage is there to other girls that we don't know about?
Yeah, and it's cheerleading. You don't need to push people to this extent when they're 13 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? Try your hardest, and beyond that, it doesn't matter.
The fact that they had the team pulling her down, saying, don't worry about it, and then she's screaming out, I'm sorry. This
just outraged me. And I am thankful that I am not the father of this girl because I would probably be in jail right now.
Right. It'd be hard to not be.
It would be. And
I couldn't
outrageous.
imagine. But luckily, the coach, I think the principal of the school is also on leave because he was also like they said, like the mom sent this video back in June. The school did nothing about
until I think it was August 28th or something.
Right, 2 months.
Yeah,
the school's like, hey, don't worry about it. We got, and then crap, it's in the news now.
People are actually seeing it. This is a problem.
Yeah, it's so scummy, dude. It's so scummy. And I'm sorry, this coach, there needs to be legal repercussions, I think.
I mean, dude, it's really, like, I hate, this is what triggered us this week, so we can say whatever we want, but, like, I feel like this should be borderline child abuse.
Yes.
I mean, this guy's pushing this 13-year-old girl who's tearing tendons and holding her down and doesn't pull her. Who does that, man? She's saying, please, no. Like, I would jump in there and pull her out in a second and deck that dude, man. It is insane.
Yeah. Don't punch a Nazi, but punch a cheerleading coach.
Seriously, it's crazy. What do you have? Let's end on a positive.
Okay. This is
after
amazing.
That story, we gotta have something.
So this is a video that has kind of taken the internet by storm a little bit this past week, and I absolutely love it. This is a protester, you know, one of the strong...
The peaceful Antifa.
The peaceful Antifa, exactly. Now, I can't vouch that he is for Antifa. I'm not sure exactly. But there was a protest, and the police had given the protesters several orders to leave because it was getting kind of rowdy. Yet the protesters didn't leave.
They obeyed, right?
No, totally obeyed. Everyone left, and there was no issue. No, of course they didn't. They actually started throwing water bottles and stuff at the police officers, and the police officers started moving up the street to kind of push out the protesters, just doing their job.
Absolutely.
But then this one protester, man. God bless this one protester. He was being a man, you know. He was kicking back the patriarchy. If the patriarchy is this little tear gas grenade, so this guy kicks back this tear gas grenade, as you can see. But then what happens? Retribution is what happens. Karma is what happens. I want to find this police officer that did this and give him a gold medal.
Yes.
Shot him in the nuts with a rubber bullet and took him down.
Took him down.
Oh, it's amazing. Man. Protester thinks he talked crap, kicks a tear gas grenade back at the police.
Instant karma.
Instant karma.
Dude, I'm just picturing like that guy's like zooming in, man.
Dude.
Takes him out, dude. Gets like a nice high five.
And then, what's the best part, Jared? The guy that helps up the guy that got shot?
Yeah, he's wearing a Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. Because Colin Kaepernick, you know, hashtag I'm with Colin, of course.
Oh my gosh, dude.
But no,
absolutely amazing.
I think this is hysterical.
Oh,
man.
I seriously would love to meet the cop and be like, yeah, I saw that.
Congratulations,
line that up.
sir. Yeah, because like you're gonna be a part of these protests. You're gonna disobey orders from police officers. And what are you even protesting? Like, who knows what?
The tear gas grenade. You're against tear gas grenades.
Go kick it and sit there like you're all like this hot stuff, man. And then you just get wrecked,
dude.
And it's so satisfying.
It's sweet.
It's really sad. Like, this is making me want to become a police officer.
Right?
Just go to these places and take these people out because it's just ridiculous.
Yep.
But of course, this is the culture we live in, man, where people have to go out and protest everything.
You got to protest. If it offends you, or maybe offends you, or offends someone else, or maybe it's just because you want to.
Someone else. Exactly.
Who knows? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Just go out and protest. And by protest, we don't mean use your freedom of speech.
Exactly.
We mean
kick
physically assault people, burn down stuff, and then claim you're fighting fascism. Nailed it.
I think that's a good place to end it right there.
Fighting fascism,
as always, yes. So as always, guys, this has been the Peanut Gallery Podcast. If you agree with what you're saying, if you think this video was good, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. If you don't, leave us a thumbs down. Tell us what we did wrong. Let us know in the comment section below. Tell us what you think of all the stories we covered today. Guys, check us out on iTunes, on Google Play. Leave us a review there. That really helps us out. And as always, until next week, stay informed.